Faithful viewers, casual acquaintances, and first-time listeners alike, if you were ever curious about how an epic poem from ancient Greece would translate if every character had a gender reversal, and it was set in a cosmic landscape of outer space, you're gonna stick around. I have a pink tie, I'm wearing my suspenders, and this book is so bright I had to wear some shades. Ay, ay, ay. Hola, senors and senoritas. I am the Comic Book Mustache, and I'm coming to you today to review the beautiful second issue from Image Comics' new series, Odyssey, from writer Matt Fraction and the wonderful artist who I've never heard of before this, Christian Ward. And right before jumping into the review of the book, I just want to start off by making a very bold statement how I feel Matt Fraction is one of the, if not the, most important figures in the modern comic book industry today. Due to a lot of common misconceptions that we can thank media portrayals, the demographic of comic book readers has become a stereotype, normally thought of to be socially inept, grown man-child types, and I really feel that Fraction's output in comics, especially over the past 3 years since he launched Hawkeye with Marvel, has provided some of the best examples of sequential art storytelling that's worthy and very much capable of sparking intellectual thought as well as true artistic appreciation, and it's capable of being enjoyed by a vast, enormous variety of people of all types and almost every demographic. Fraction's output provides something for everyone. Hawkeye's levity and tone really reinvented rather, the way a lot of modern superhero stories are being told. At the Big Two, we've seen a lot of humor, fun, and risks being taken in recent years, and I think that all really started with the success of Matt Fraction and David Aja's Hawkeye run, which is one of the best and most celebrated runs in modern comic book history. Satellite Sam is a book he's doing with Howard Chaykin about a murder mystery that's taking place during the golden age of television. If you're a Mad Men fan and you like period pieces regarding the 1950s, it's definitely something for you. Lots of misogynistic males and pretty girls in sexy lingerie. Everyone's drinking at work. I dropped my pen. And they're still able to smoke in restaurants and on the job. Let me see what else Fraction has been doing. Sex Criminals, of course. If you watch my Best of 2014 video from last week, you may be aware that that is my favorite ongoing series currently in comic books. I have never laughed that hard at a comic in my life. It is one of the funniest stories in any medium that I've ever read. I just skipped. Chip Zdarsky's artwork is a beautiful complement to Fraction's hilarious storytelling techniques, and he continues to provide us as comic book readers and anyone, whether you're an average comic book reader or not, providing us with stories and works that can be celebrated and enjoyed by a vast demographic of individuals, not just people who look like they're in the Big Bang Theory, which has really become, in my opinion, the blackface of the comic book community. I don't like using words like geek. I don't like using words like nerd. I think that they're kind of, I don't want to say racist, but discriminating towards people who just enjoy stories told in a certain medium, and I don't like those kinds of things. And that Matt Fraction's work, especially since the launch of Hawkeye, is providing us comic book readers with something to put in the faces of the large amount of people who think down upon the intelligence and the social capabilities of comic book readers. So let's let all my personal opinions about things step aside for a moment while I open up my Fourth World Comics and Toys bag. And we take a look at the very beautiful and awesome Odyssey #2. Another home run from Image Comics, a publishing company that has been around for about 25 years, making its mark with creator-owned titles and allowing its creators a lot of freedom in their works without editorial interference and 100% ownership of the work that they produce. So, this story is basically a retelling of Homer's epic poem, The Odyssey, except, as I said in my intro, everybody's a girl, and it takes place in an outer space that looks like you have taken a bunch of acid. It is extremely weird, very hallucinogenic, bizarre, bright colors, very, very strange book. The second issue opens up with the story of Zeus, now a goddess, still head of the pantheon of gods, up there on their Mount Olympus, which is some weird spaceship-looking thing in this story. Tells the story of Zeus, explains her hatred towards mortals, and also explains a question that I was left after the first issue, which is why there are no males. And the answer is because Zeus hates boys. After the story of Zeus and her introduction, we're brought back to Odysseia. Now Odysseia, no longer Odysseus, because she's a lady. Odysseia and her crew are homeward bound after years at war. On their way back, like any sea-bound story, they have to make a few pit stops. And their first pit stop is on the planet of the Lotus Bearers. The Lotus Bearers have harvested the most powerful and euphoric narcotic known in all of existence, as well as developed their culture around the idealisms of pleasure and temptation and sin. Odyssea's crew is finding it more and more increasingly difficult to escape the grasps and temptations of this planet and all of the awesome things that it seems to bear. Gluttony, sex, drugs, rock and fucking roll. Sounds awesome, except we want to see our heroes escape. Their mission is get home, and it's becoming more and more increasingly difficult. The issue ends on quite the cliffhanger. Unfortunately, I already know a lot about the Odyssey and how it's going to turn up, but still, dun dun dun, big stuff. Talk about Fraction's writing first. It is told very similar to the poems of ancient Greek antiquities. The segments are numbered as Homer's poem is. Some may find it a little difficult to follow at times, but that is only because it's so intellectually written, and when one of the only complaints about a book is that it's too well written and intelligent and requires a possible reread just to further grasp how smart it actually is, there really isn't much for you to complain about. Those are the kinds of things that we in the comic book reading community should embrace and look forward to, especially when we want our medium to be justified against the stereotypes that I spoke about before. very well written, extremely bright, extremely intelligent, albeit a little bit difficult to follow at times, only because it's so fucking smart. The real icing on the cake for Odyssey, for me, has been Christian Ward. I am not familiar with him as an artist. I'm not sure if I've ever read anything of his before this, and I really don't know what he has done before this. I haven't done any research on that. The lighting in this room is not very good, but I'm going to try my best to show you some of the stunning pages and panel layouts that Christian Ward uses for this story. There you see the goddess Zeus. Really colorful, really bright. As I had mentioned before, it has a psychedelic, surreal, kind of hallucinogenic tone to it, but it only makes it really more beautiful and fitting towards the bizarre nature of this story to begin with, because let's face it, it's a little weird. Here we see the pantheon of gods laying rest to the males of their universe as Zeus makes the decision to eradicate all boys, because she doesn't like boys. And this is my favorite page. It's a double page spread. That little flying ring thing is Odyssea's ship, and that's her crew landing on the planet of these lotus bearers as they're about to succumb to all of the sin and all of the sex and temptation and awesome stuff. There's some sex and some food and some cool weird lip things. Here she is being greeted kindly by the inhabitants of this bizarre narcotic-fueled planet. Layers upon layers upon layers. Literally, I don't know how people walk around in this world, but I don't care because I love the concepts and ideals of it so very, very much. I do apologize for the lighting in the room. I tried a picture-in-picture view, but it was even more difficult to see it. You really had to squint your eyes, especially if you were looking at it from your phone, which I know most of you do. But hopefully you get the idea of how wonderful and great Christian Ward's artwork is in this book, and you take my word for it and pick it up for yourselves. It's only 2 issues in, and it's not too difficult to get caught up on it since it's such a fresh and young series, only have started last month. Also, if you can't find issue 1 and you want to get on this book, Image does a really great job with providing its readers with the first trade directly after the issue the trade ends with has come out and before the following issue comes out. So you're able to catch up and get started on any Image series. And to make that deal even sweeter, Image first trades are always $9.99, a very affordable rate for anyone, especially with books of such quality, Odyssey being one of those. It's a beautiful book. It's an interesting premise. The artwork is fantastic. The writing is highly intelligent. And like I said before, when the only complaint you have about a story is that it might be too smart and requires a little bit of thought, that's not a complaint. It's something you should embrace. And you should reread it and get that further understanding because it's only going to make it more enjoyable and allow you to appreciate it for the artistic and intellectual merits that it deserves. Because of all these reasons, I am granting Odyssey #2 from Image Comics the rating of 5 sombreros. If any of you are interested in checking out books like Odyssey #2 or any comic book in general, go to comicshoplocator.com. There you can type in your zip code and find the closest comic book store near you, such as mine, Fourth World Comics and Toys, in Smithtown, Long Island. If you can't find a local comic shop, or you just want that instant gratification and have it right in your hands that day, that moment, that second, try downloading your comics digitally. I use the Comixology app. It is available for both iOS and Android devices. And another really great way that I love to advocate checking out comic books is checking your local library. I always find a great selection at mine, and I've been able to catch up on a lot of Image series that I've missed out on by taking out books at the library. With that in mind, a little bit of health advice today before I say adios, brochachos, but healthy food for thought. A mustache a day may just keep that doctor away. Adios, brochachos. I'll see you on the other side.